Alright, so what we're going to do here today is we're going to do page 304, figure F. F as in Frank. So, to start with this, we're going to draw it starting with the top view. We're going to start the top view up here in this area. So I'm going to start with a layout line going across my screen, something about like that. And then a horizontal layout line, or vertical layout line going like so. Sorry, that is just the senior capstone electathon making noise in the background. Thank you, Dylan. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to draw that first circle there, because we always start with the circular parts. We're going to make that first one a diameter of 1.75, and the next we're going to make a diameter of 1.25. So there are your two circles there in the top view. Next, I think we're just going to go ahead and get the size of this thing shaped up. In the width of the drawing, we're going to make this 4 inches wide total. So from the center line, we're going to offset 2 to the left and 2 to the right. In the height, we're going to make it 2 inches tall, so we're going to offset 1 inch above and 1 inch below the center lines there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and trim around the outside, getting those corners all trimmed up and looking nice. If I could draw a straight line there. And I missed trimming one wrong there. I'll just adjust this out like so. Alright, from there, I'm going to go ahead and pick my ones that are object lines up here, which are these lines, and put those on the object layer. So that looks beautiful. From there, I'm going to go ahead and add in this other little portion of it over here on the left side, which we're going to offset that at 1/2 inch thick. And this other portion, we're going to offset it at 3/8 inch thick total. So 1/2 of 3/8 is 3/16. So we're going to offset 3/16 on each side of the center line to there and to there. And now we're going to trim those out and make that object lines. There and there as object lines. Okay. Now here, I'm going to get rid of some of those layout lines I have in there just to lessen the confusion a little bit. And there are most of the, actually all of the object lines on top of that, I guess, except for my 2 holes. And if you notice on the handout, it trims out like so and like so. One thing we're going to do a little bit differently is, again, I'm not going to add those fillets in there. Adding those fillets adds the next little level of complexity, and I don't want to mess with that right now. All right. From here, I need to get these holes in this side of the object, so I'm going to offset 1/2 inch, because the holes are 1/2 inch into there, and 1/2 inch down, and 1/2 inch up. And I'm going to put those holes in there are a diameter of 3/8 inch. And another hole at a diameter of 3/8. Now with those, I don't like those being object lines there, so I'm going to change those into layout lines. And adjust the length of those down a little bit, so I don't have quite so many lines going across my drawing. Add those two to the object layer. And now, those are all the object lines for the top view. And I'm going to pause the video here. Alright, so that is all the lines up there in the top view. Now we're going to look at our front view. To do the front view, we're going to come down here and again we're going to pick a line off this left side of the top view and bring it straight down. We're going to bring a line straight down off to the right side of the top view. And then just at a random position again, as always, down here, we're going to start our bottom of our front view. The height of our front view is going to be 1 inch, so we're going to offset 1 above that bottom line. And then we're going to trim this out, and this will be your blocked in front view. Now remember, that's kind of the way we always do that. And now we're going to start adding some of the details to that. For the base of this, we're going to make this base 3/8 inch thick. So we're going to offset up 3/8. And now for the rest of this, we really have to determine this from our other drawing. Notice over here, this corner, as it comes down, it's going to create that line that you see there on the handout. So we're going to bring it straight down to here. And I'm going to, again, just trim this up as I go. And that's got that portion of it done. As you see on the handout, there's those other couple lines that go down here. Again, that comes from up here on the top view from this quadrant of the circle. Now on this side, we don't have the quadrant of the circle. but we have this corner, so it's going to come from there. So we're going to go line from right there, straight down, and from that corner there, straight down. We're going to go ahead and trim those up, there and there. Now, this corner over here, we're not going to see at all, so we're going to trim it out all the way. And that's got my front view looking pretty good with all my object lines. Now again, I mentioned this before, we're not adding our fillet. So on the handout, on the book, it shows a little fillet here, and a little fillet here, and a little fillet here. We're not adding those into this, just because that keeps this a little bit simpler for you guys. Alright, so we're going to pick all those lines, and switch all those to the object layer. So there are all my object lines in the front layer. Next, let's go ahead and get our hidden lines in the front layer. Let's start with this large hole. Now, on this one, it's a little bit different. It does not have a counter bore on it. We're going to draw a line from the quadrant of the hole over on the left, straight down through my object, and the quadrant of the hole on the right, straight down through my object. I'm going to go ahead and do my small holes here while I'm doing that. So from that quadrant straight down, and from that quadrant straight down. I'm going to go ahead and just trim them all off. Now, all four of those are just as simple as hidden lines. Select all four of those, change it to my hidden layer. Everything's got a dash in it. That looks appropriate. That's great. That is a good looking drawing. That is the front right drawing done, front view done, except for center lines. We're going to save our center lines to the last step. All right, from here, we're going to do our right side view. To do the right side view, we're going to come in here. We're going to draw a line from the bottom of my top view, straight over. Bottom of my, or top of my top view, straight over. Bottom of the front view, top of the front view, and those four lines go across. Then next, remember, I come up here again, just a random position over, where I'm going to start my right side view. At this position, where the bottom of the top view, the left of the right side view, where they cross, that's where we're going to put in that 45-degree angle line. Come up to there, and down to there. Now once again, as always, we're going to trim that out. And that is my right side view, again, blocked in. Okay? So now, pretty easy. The base of it's going to come from right here, straight over. And we can see that corner looking at this right side, so that's going to just stay right there. And again, all those lines, well, I'm not going to do this yet, because we're going to have to trim some of these up a little bit. I'll show you why in just a second. Okay. So now, the next thing we're going to see is this corner of the object right back here. This back portion goes all the way across, so that line is going to come across. So again, this line and this line are going to be object lines. So we are actually going to go ahead, now that I look at it, we're going to set all those to object lines. But now we have to look at this cylinder. Looking from this right-sided object, I see the cylinder. So the top and the bottom of the cylinder are going to be transferred over and down, and that's going to show there and there. Trim those off. And those are going to show also as object lines. Okay, so that shows my cylinder standing in there, but I still have this back portion here that sticks out on the outside corners. Okay, now I have these holes. These holes, remember, only go through this bottom portion, so they're going to come over and down to the bottom, over, down to the bottom, over, down to the bottom, over to there, and back down. So go ahead and trim those off. And now those lines, again, are just all going to be hidden lines. And those look really good. Again, we're going to save our center lines to the very last step. So now, this large hole is going to come over. It goes down and all the way through my object. Now this does look a little bit confusing over here on the right side view, because this one goes all the way through. I'm going to go ahead and trim all these out all the way across, because these kind of overlap over each other, but that's just the way it's shown. And those are again going to be hidden lines all the way through. So these two show my large hole. These four show the small hole. Okay. So now there actually are two more hidden lines. This little portion here, this division that we can see right here with this part, looking from the right side of this object, I can't see it, but yet it has these corners on it, so it's going to have to be hidden lines that are shown here in the top of the object. So one to there, one from that intersection straight over and straight down, turn those out again, and it only goes from here to here, which that's what's shown right here, and those two are going to be hidden lines once again. And again, that makes this kind of confusing with all those hidden lines over there. But now we're just going to start adding in all of our center lines. In the top view, those two and those are all going to be center lines. I'm going to go ahead and trim this up a little bit. Or not trim it up, but adjust the links a little bit. So I'm going to pull this one down to there, into there, down to there, over there. Should go just outside that circle just a little bit. Now here, this is where I can zoom in, pull this, come on, pull this quadrant straight to the side, pull this one straight down. There, that's got a beautiful set of center lines there. I'm going to go ahead and trim this one out in between and adjust the lengths of these up a little bit, like so. I'm going to adjust the center points a little bit like so. I'm going to adjust the scale of those down. Let's see if 0.5 looks good. 0.5 doesn't make them look like that, so let's go down to 0.25. 0.5 looks beautiful. Now, here's a place where, honestly, I cheat a little bit. I just did a lot of little changes to that. I think it's quicker and easier just to erase out those two and copy these two from that center point to that center point. And there, that's perfect. Lined up there perfectly. Looks great. Now I need these in the front view also, so I'm going to transfer this straight down to there. Transfer that one straight down to there. Trim them off and adjust the length of those a little bit. All those need to be put on the center layer, or both of those. None of them look like center lines, so I'm going to change the scale of both of them down to 0.5. As I anticipated, change that one to look correct, but this one is not correct. So let's change that one down to 0.25. Again, those look beautiful. Now, once again, I'm going to bring a line from my center line over, and I'm going to do something a little bit different here again. This is not anything you have to do. We're going to bring it down to there, just to that surface. I'm going to bring the large hole over. I'm just going to again bring it down to that top surface. I'm going to bring my other one over and down to that surface. Now, I've already changed the line type scales of all these, so I'm just going to simply go copy. I already have my layout lines there. I want you to show layout, but I'm going to go ahead and copy this from that intersection to that intersection and to that intersection. That's got those two perfectly into place. This center line, copy from that intersection to that intersection. And that one's perfectly in place. Again, the right side of this one does look a little bit confusing, I have to admit. But that's what it's going to look like there. Last thing on this, just get everything centered up. On this one, just be careful when you're stretching and doing all that. I'm going to go ahead and trim off these extra lines on my 45-degree angle. And let me see. Center it up and down. I'm going to stretch all this out to here. I'm going to include my title block. And pull those down so my layout lanes move there. Stretch these up a little bit to there. I think that looks pretty good. Now, I think all of this needs to be moved over. That's honestly pretty close. I know this gap's a little bit small. Maybe I'll stretch this just a little bit. That looks really mighty fine. I'm going to come over here. This is not 89 or figure 859B. Again, this was what? F. So I'm going to go F. Steel is still fine. 1-to-1 is fine. Change your hour to the appropriate hour. Change the date to the appropriate date. And there you go. Once again, when you do this, my trick is going Z, enter for zoom, picking a box tight around my title block and border, and then go ahead and do your snipping of that right there. So I'm going to grab my snipping tool, make a new snipping right there, just like so. That's a beautiful snipping. Save that, upload that to Student View as quarter 1 independent work number 2. And there you got 5 points of independent work. Good luck today.